Well, it's that time of year again. As we close out 2025, it's time to focus on annual planning. And annual planning is vitally important because if you're not knowing where you're going or how you're going to get there, well, then how are you going to get to where you want to go? If you're not reviewing where you've been, how are you going to know how you did? So, annual planning is an important part of our journey through business. And I want to reflect today on how we can do that also personally, because in the process of building a successful business, I don't want to neglect what we're doing on the personal side. So in this video, I'm going to lay out what you can do from a personal standpoint to prepare to have a successful 2026 and beyond. Within the world of EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, once a year we focus on annual planning. And in the EOS world, that's a 2-day process. And in those 2 days, broadly, we want to reflect on a few things. We want to review how we did in the previous year. Did we meet our objectives? Did we meet our goals? Are we moving in the right direction? What are the issues that have come up from that? And then we want to focus on our vision, where we're going. Are we all still aligned and rowing in the same direction on that vision? Then we want to focus on a clear plan to get there. Over the course of the next year, what do we want to achieve that will move us in the direction of that vision? So how that looks in your business? Well, in your business, when we do the review, we want to make sure we're reviewing your rocks and your goals from the previous year. This includes financial results, of course, to make sure that you're hitting your financials over the course of the previous year. And when we look at the personal side of review, we really want to do the same thing. Did you meet your goals? Did you meet your rocks? So you're really looking at the same thing on a personal level. Did you meet your objectives every quarter? Did you meet your objectives for the year to make sure that you are driving towards where you want to go? So very similar review process when it comes to the business and the personal side. And if you didn't set goals in the previous year, that's okay. This is a new starting point. You can actually start here with your vision, or you can simply reflect on the previous year by journaling about it and just reflecting on what worked and what didn't work. Now, the second objective you want to meet in your business annual planning is that vision. You want to make sure you're aligned around that vision for the year. And how we do that in the business is the VTO, or Vision Traction Organizer for short. Now, if you're operating on EOS, you know what a vision traction organizer looks like. It's a simple 2-page document that gets to the root of your vision so that everybody can see it, everybody can understand it, everybody can want to be a part of it. And those questions that they ask on it get to the root of the vision. What are your core values? What are the core things that you're going to focus on, the sweet spot of your organization? What is your core target, your long-term number one business goal for the organization? What's your marketing strategy? What is your 3-year picture? Painting that clear picture for what your organization looks like 3 years from now. Then what is your 1-year plan? What are the 3 to 7 specific goals that you're going to have for the year that are going to get you closer to your core target? And then what are your quarterly rocks, those quarterly objectives that are the biggest priorities for your organization? And then what is your issues list? Those are the questions that make up your Vision Traction Organizer, and keep it really, really simple and get everybody aligned around it. And then once everybody's clear and aligned on that vision, then you can start planning. But how do we translate that Vision Traction Organizer, or the vision side of it, to a personal annual planning? So you want to go through what we call a personal VTO, or Personal Vision Traction Organizer. And a lot of the questions are the same on that Vision Traction Organizer, but some of them are different. And I like to look at it a little bit differently, and I'll share that with you. The personal VTO it really starts with the same first question. What are your core values? Because personally, you can have a set of core values. And why that's important is because those core values are going to define everything that you are and everything that you do. Knowing your core values helps you to develop the right types of relationships, make the right types of decisions. It becomes one of the ultimate filters for everything that you do and all the decisions that you make in your life. And that leads into the second question on your personal VTO, which is the same as what it is on the business VTO. What is your core focus? What is your passion? What is it that you are passionate about? And this can be simply stated as a 1-sentence passion statement or purpose statement for your life. This question and your core values is a discovery process. just like it is within your business. You want to discover what that core focus really is, not just create it or build it out of thin air. And so even if you can't discover it in a single day session, just having that self-awareness will help you to go throughout your day-to-day and start to discover that. It took some time for me to discover that myself, for my personal core focus. But what I discovered was that my core focus, my true passion, my purpose, is to be a conduit for human connection. That's the thing that breaks my heart when I see disconnection. It's the thing that really lights me up in terms of what I want to do. And I feel like I'm great at connecting really aligned people with one another. So that's core focus on a personal level. Then the next question on your personal VTO is, what is your core target? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what do you want to achieve? You can state this in a very simple sentence, a single sentence like you do in your business VTO. But I also want to encourage you to look at other sources for creating and crafting that longer term vision. And a great resource I recommend here is a book called Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold. He lays it out perfectly how you can look at your life from a first person standpoint, just 3 to 5 years from now, and what your life looks like so that you can paint a clear picture of that. And it gives you not only this great perspective of what you really want to achieve, but it also helps you to kind of zero in on what you should be focused on. It helps you to paint that picture so that you can actually narrow it down to a 3-year picture and a 1-year plan and quarterly rocks. It's a great starting point to build a bigger vision. Personally, in my life, I've used that resource to paint a clear picture of what it would look like when I became a triathlete at the top of the Ironman world stage, qualifying for the Ironman World Championship. And I painted that picture of my life before I'd ever even done a triathlon. But just painting that clear vision in my mind and getting super clear on that, and then executing on that day in and day out, 4 years later, helped me to cross that Ironman World Championship finish line after qualifying. And the same was true for when I took over my family's business and what I wanted to create out of that. And it still serves a valuable purpose in my life now as I paint the picture of what's next for me in my life. And it can do the same for you to help you to paint that longer term core target for you. Once you have that vivid vision written out, you can then narrow that down into that simply stated 1-sentence core target that will be your North Star for where you want to go. Now in the personal VTO, there's not really a marketing strategy because, well, it's not really a business you're running, it's your personal life. I like to replace that with what I call an adventure list. And this is really a list of things that you just want to achieve. And I look at that from the perspective of 3 specific angles. The first is, who are the people that you want to meet? Are there specific people that you want to meet? It could be that you want to meet the Pope, or it could be that you want to meet this type of business leader or astronauts. You just want to be introduced to a certain type of person. And then the second thing is, what are the experiences? And this is one of I think the most important things that you could have on your adventure list. What are the experiences that you want to have? Do you want to do or complete an Ironman triathlon? Do you want to walk the length of the Great Wall of China? Do you want to one day go to Mars? What are the experiences that you want to have in your life? Lay those out specifically and clearly on that list. And then the third way to look at the adventure list is from the perspective of material things. And yeah, material things are of course not nearly as important as the relationships or the experiences, but that's why I lay them out third, because we still want some things. We might want a really great guitar, or you might want a boat or an airplane, whatever it might be. Writing them down and being able to visualize them on your Vision Traction Organizer helps them to become more real. Then the next question on your personal Vision Traction Organizer is, what is your 3-year picture? And this too is painting a clear 3-year picture of what your life looks like 3 years from now. And it gets pretty simple when you lay out a vivid vision, when you have that 5-page vision of your longer term, what your life looks like. Because then you could just narrow it back down to 3 years. Lay out 3 years from now where you want to go. 5 to 15 bullet points on just what your life looks like 3 years from now. And that encapsulates basically the vision side of that VTO. And then the next objective of your annual planning is to plan for the next year. And that's the second part of the VTO, which is the traction side. This is where you want to start setting your 1-year goals and your rocks. And so that's how you start to plan. So you have your 1 year goals and your rocks in your business. This is where you create those goals for the year and you bring them down to the next 90 days to create that 90-day world, to create those quarterly rocks that will get you closer to that 1 year goal. You do the same thing on the personal side. You bring that VTO down to the traction level and you start to focus on your 1 year plan. So your 1 year plan is all about setting those 3 to 7 clear, specific goals that you want to achieve this year on a personal level that will get you closer to that 3 year picture and that 10-year target. Remember, those have to be specific. They have to be measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So those SMART goals, and make sure that they're aligned with the 3 year picture that you've painted, the vivid vision you've created. And the next part of planning is setting those 90-day rocks. Now that you have your clear yearly goals that you want to achieve, setting those rocks for the next 90 days are going to prioritize the most important things that are going to get you closer to your 1 year goals. So as a filter, what you have is you have that core target, which feeds into what your 3 year picture looks like. Then you can narrow that down into what you need to achieve this year with your 1 year plan. And you can narrow that down into what the rocks are. So that ultimately, within every 90 days, you can take those 90-day priorities, and those should lead you closer to what you want to achieve in that year, in those yearly goals. And those yearly goals should lead you closer to what you want to achieve in that 3 year picture. And then ultimately, that 3 year picture should get you closer to where you want to get in your core target. And then there's another part of this that's often missed that I like to add here towards the end. And it's to celebrate, especially at the end of the year. When you're in your business, you want to celebrate with your team. You want to do something exciting, celebrate what you've achieved in the past year. And you should also celebrate where you're going. The fact that you put together this vision, you've aligned around it, and you've set a clear plan on how to get there. That's exciting. So as a team, you should be doing that. But also individually, you should be doing that. So if you want to plan this whole annual planning from a personal level as a retreat, get out into the woods, go on a trip somewhere, take yourself somewhere to do this process. That's an important part of the annual planning. One thing that I really like to do to celebrate is I take a lot of pictures over the course of a year on my cell phone, right? When I go on trips and when I spend time with my wife and my kids and I go places. And a lot of times those memories, those pictures just kind of fall back into the thousands of pictures that I have on my phone. But every December 31st, my wife and I have this tradition where we'll go through the previous year of photos that we've had individually, and we'll create a slideshow of our favorite moments. And together we will share our respective slideshows with one another. And that is one of the most powerful ways to end the year for us, right before the ball drops on New Year's Eve. It often amazes us how much we fit into a single year. So that's one thing that I would highly recommend is after you fulfill this process, you can even do this process with your spouse. Go through your photos, create a slideshow, then watch it on New Year's Eve and just see how your life unfolded over the last year. So happy annual planning, everybody. I hope your annual plans go really well this year. I hope this was helpful. And of course, reach out if you have any questions about this process. Happy to dive in more with you.